Hello, this is Reporter Television and I am Bethel Mikhail with the news. The embattled export earning continues to take a nosedive in the first year of the Second Growth and Transformation (GTP2), according to the 9-month performance report, which is expected to be presented to the House of People's Representatives. According to the 9-month figures that the Ministry of Trade MOT has compiled, the export earnings from the agriculture, manufacturing and mining sectors have shown decline both with respect to the targets set and the performance in the previous years. The overall export revenue in the 9-month under the consideration was recorded to be $2.05 billion, 70.4% of the $2.91 billion target set for the period. Nevertheless, the $2.91 billion targets are still a revised target, the report indicated. The export target set on the GTP for the current fiscal year is $5 billion, and when the 9-month performance is compared to its targets, it is clearly below half of the expected amount. At the sectoral level, the agricultural sector is targeted to fetch $3.4 billion for the current fiscal year. According to the revised targets, however, the sector is expected to fetch $1.95 billion in the period. Nevertheless, the actual performance of the sector falls short of both the target on GTP and the revised targets, recording a total of $1.5 billion. As far as the manufacturing sector is concerned, the performance figures compiled by MOT shows that $508 million was set to be fetched by the sector in the period, while the actual performance of the sector is only 51%. On the other hand, the mining sector is expected to earn $603 million, while the revised figure puts these estimates at $459 million. The performance, however, is half of what is set as a target for the period, $223.4 million. The overall export performance is also 6% or $129.2 million lower than last year's, as Johannes Amberber reported. The Export-Import EXIM Bank of China has agreed to provide an additional $120 million loan for the Addis Ababa Bole International Airport Passenger Terminal Expansion Project, which is underway at the cost of $345 million. Wendem Teklu, head of Ethiopian Airports Enterprise (EAE) Communications Affairs Office, told the reporter that EXIM Bank of China has agreed to provide an additional $120 million loan to the Addis Ababa Bole International Airport Passenger Terminal Expansion Project. Wendem said the bank is holding talks with the Ministry of Finance and Economic Cooperation, and an agreement will be signed as soon as negotiations is finalized. The Ethiopian Airports Enterprise embarked on the Addis Ababa International Airport Passenger Terminal Expansion Project 14 months ago. The Chinese construction firm, China Communications Construction Company (CCCC), is the contractor of the project, while the French consulting firm ADPI is supervising the construction. The terminal is being built on the left and right side of Terminal 2. The two terminal buildings will have 2 stories comprising of main terminal and VIP terminal. The terminal, among others, will have a shopping mall, IT center, and a recreation center. A modern parking lot will also be built. According to Wendem, 25% of the expansion work is finalized, and the whole project is due for completion within 2.5 years. In addition to the ongoing expansion work, EAE is in the progress to build an airport city, the first of its kind to the country, at an estimated cost of $4 billion. Officials of the enterprise believe that the mega airport city will make Ethiopia the aviation hub of Africa, as Kale Jesus Bekele reported. The Ministry of Mines, Petroleum and Natural Gas is in the process of transferring the mining license granted to Alana Potash to Israel Chemicals ICL. The Canadian company Alana Potash has been prospecting for potash in the Afar regional state in Dalol Depression, northeastern part of Ethiopia. After completing a successful exploration work, Alana discovered 3.2 billion tons of potash deposit in its concession area, valued at $1.2 billion with a mine life for 25 years. The company conducted a feasibility study and decided to invest $750 million to develop the potash mine. In October 2013, the then Ministry of Mines had granted a large-scale mining license that enables the company to extract and market the potash mineral, mainly used to produce fertilizers. However, due to the commodity price fall in the international market, Alana was unable to raise the required capital investment. Subsequently, the management and board of Alana sold the company to the Israel mining giant ICL. In March 2015, ICL acquired all the stakes of Alana, including the potash mine in the Dalol Depression. The Minister of Mines, Petroleum and Natural Gas, Tolosa Shagi, told the reporter that ICL has applied for the transfer of Alana's mining license to it. And when all the required documents are submitted, the ministry shall transfer the mining license to ICL. ICL has been working on the pre-construction and engineering design work of the Potash Project. ICL is also planning to build the mine and 3 fertilizer manufacturing plants at an estimated cost of $1 billion. Kale Jesus Bekkale reported that Ethiopia annually imports more than 1.2 million metric tons of fertilizer, with more than $300 million. If the Dankel Potash Project comes into fruition, the country should save a significant amount of foreign currency and generate hundreds of millions of dollars from potash export. The Ministry of Industry has vowed to build 4 major integrated agro-industrial parks with a total cost of $1.5 billion, separate from the ongoing industrial parks development projects headed by the Industrial Parks Development Corporation. Dr. Mebratu Mellis, State Minister of the Industry, told reporters on Wednesday that the agro-processing industrial parks will be developed by regional states with the support of the federal government. Out of the $1.5 billion, $870 million is planned to be spent on the infrastructure and processing plants development activities. The state minister highlighted that Amhara, Oromia, Tigray, Southern, Afar and Somali regional state have been selected for the establishment of agro-industrial parks, where for the first initial phase of the project will be carried out in the Amhara, Oromia, Tigray and Southern regional state. Some 154 hectares of land have been allotted. Including the 4 slotted for the first phase of the project, the entire agro-processing parks will host some 400 agro-processing plants, which in turn will create a sum of 400,000 manufacturing jobs in the rural areas. According to the state minister, most of the agro-processing parks will be located at the heart of primary harvest areas in the country, granting them access to agricultural projects which are major in
agricultural products.
According to the state minister, most of the agro-processing parks will be located at the heart of primary harvest areas, granting them access to agricultural products, which are major ingredients to processing industries. After mainstreaming the major agricultural production belts in the country, the MOI has identified some 17 agro-industry growth corridors that can feasibly feed the industries housed in the parks with raw materials. According to Brhanu Fekade's report, in the coming 5 years, the government eyes the integrated agro-industrial parks to be the epic centers of agricultural commercialization in the country. Yonathan Tesfaye, former public relations head of Samawi Party, has been charged with acts of terrorism. According to the charge, Yonathan has been posting provocative and violence-inciting messages in relation to the conflicts that erupted in the Oromia regional state last year. The federal prosecutor's charges presented that the Federal High Court Lideta Division 9th Criminal Bench read that Yonathan was intentionally posting violence-inciting comments on the Facebook which aimed at distracting the political, constitutional, economic and social orders of the country. Since December 16, the defendant was posting comments on his Facebook page that encouraged protesters to block roads and cause havoc, the charge sheet explained. The prosecutor pointed out that Yonathan was calling for looting to take place. The prosecutor alleged that Yonathan was repeatedly posting messages that encouraged protesters to firmly attack and harm public properties, which he said are tools of oppression. According to the charge, Yonathan wrote on his Facebook timeline calling for more violence until publicly elected government is in power. Furthermore, Yonathan is accused of claiming that the Muslims have been deprived of their religious rights and the people of Oromia Regional State have been forced to be evicted from their land. Yonathan has been accused of violating Article 4 of the Anti-Terrorism Proclamation, where he used a pseudonym, Teresa Ragasa, to post sensational messages and plotting to execute terrorist acts, planning and inciting criminal activities. Tamru Tsege reported that the court adjourned the case, ordering the defendant to appear before the court with a statement of objection on May 23rd. Finally, sports. The Ethiopian Football Federation has appointed Gebremeden Haile as interim coach to take over from the sacked Yohannes Sahale early this week. The Defense Football Club coach will be in charge for the remaining 2017 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers against Seychelles and Lesotho. It was learned that Gebremeden has been appointed as the interim coach pending further resolutions, where he will be in charge of the national team for the remaining 2 matches before the executive committee meets to decide on the next course of action. The president of the Ethiopian Football Federation, Junaddin Basha, has acknowledged that new changes are being affected in the national team. A striker during his playing days, Gebremeden has won the Ethiopian Cup twice with Defense FC since 2011. He is known for his exceptional footballing skills and scoring records both at club competitions and at the national level, particularly on the occasion of the famous 1987 Sekafa win in Addis Ababa that Ethiopia attended after a long spell at the continental level without any triumph. That was all for today. Thank you for watching. For detailed information and exclusive interviews, make sure to go to our website, thereporterethiopia.com.